The first ruling from the International Court of Justice on the war in Gaza was delivered on Friday, recognising the situation there is catastrophic, but stopping short of calling on Israel to cease hostilities. The provisional ruling is a first step in a process that could take years to determine whether Israel has committed genocide, an allegation its government vehemently denies. Dana Morse has this report.
It's an historic day following the International Court of Justice's ruling.
Call for Israel to prevent genocidal acts in Gaza.
The court stopped short of calling for an immediate ceasefire in Israel's war with Hamas.
The horrors of the Holocaust provoked whole new bodies of international law, covering crimes against humanity and genocide. The International Court of Justice, or ICJ, was set up to hear cases brought against one state by another. Over the weekend, the court made a provisional ruling on a historic case brought by South Africa against Israel.
There is essentially a feeling of connection between South Africa and the Palestinian people and their experience with apartheid. And so that's one of the reasons that South Africa brought it. However, they also simply brought the case because, like all other parties to the convention, South Africa is obligated to prevent genocide.
South Africa's case, launched in the heat of the Israel-Hamas conflict, has provoked intense global interest.
The court considers that the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip is at serious risk of deteriorating further before the court renders its final judgment.
The provisional ruling says Israel must do everything within its power to prevent and punish any public incitements to commit genocide, to preserve evidence related to any allegations of genocide, and to improve the humanitarian situation for Palestinian civilians.
The provisional measures that were ordered by the court are quite significant, especially the fact that the court has found that there is a plausible risk of genocide being committed in the context of what is going on in the Gaza Strip.
South Africa's case does not just refer to Israel's actions since October 7, but claims a much longer history of genocidal actions by the State of Israel against the Palestinian people.
What is happening in Gaza reflects a genocide in the making and an overt intent to destroy the Palestinian people under occupation. Israel's special genocidal intent is rooted in the belief that, in fact, the enemy is not just the military wing of Hamas, or indeed Hamas generally, but is embedded in the fabric of Palestinian life in Gaza.
Israel framed its actions under the right of self-defence in the conflict against Hamas and said the proper legal framework is the law of armed conflict. But it acknowledged that Hamas's atrocities do not absolve Israel of its legal obligations.
This case concerns a large-scale armed conflict with tragic consequences for civilians on both sides. Yes, there is a heart-wrenching armed conflict, but the attempt to classify it as genocide and trigger provisional measures is not just unfounded in law. It has far-reaching and negative implications that extend well beyond the case before you.
In the provisional measures ruling, the ICJ seeks to protect certain rights of the Palestinian people until it makes a final decision on the merits of the case.
The court is also of the view that Israel must take measures within its power to prevent and punish the direct and public incitement to commit genocide in relation to the members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. The court further considers that Israel must take immediate and effective measures to enable the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip.
In the short term, both South Africa and Israel have sought to frame the provisional ruling as a decision in their favour.
The effect of the order that the ICJ has granted today is that there is a plausible case of genocide.
The charge of genocide leveled against Israel is not only false, it's outrageous, and decent people everywhere should reject it.
The Australian government has intervened in Ukraine's genocide case against Russia, along with 32 other states. But so far, the Albanese government has not come out publicly for or against the case.
This is a process of which Australia is not a party. We've made very clear our position, which is that every human life matters, whether it be Israeli or Palestinian.
While it may take years for the ICJ to deliver a final ruling on whether genocide has occurred in the Gaza Strip, the provisional order might generate further action from the international community.
What this order has also done is definitively put other countries on notice that there is a risk of genocide here, a serious risk of genocide. And what that does is that triggers the obligations of all the other countries who are party to the Genocide Convention, because they are also obligated to prevent and punish genocide.